Hi everyone and welcome back to the Crafty Yellow Camper, and today I'm going to show you another card using the Dainty Delight stamp set and dies. We do have papers that match this as well that are a free celebration item until the end of February. If you spend £45 or more you can earn those for free, and they are beautiful papers and we are going to be using them as well in this card. Okay, so I was asked by one of the ladies that comes to my in-person card classes if we could make a pop-up box card, because we haven't made one for a while, and they are really quite simple to make but quite effective to look at. So that's what we're going to use this stamp set for today. So I'm going to show you how to do the base. So I've got a piece of petal pink here, and this is half of an A4 sheet cut lengthways. So it's 10.5 centimetres wide. If you're not in the UK, obviously you can use half of your letter sheet. Okay, so what we're going to do, as I said, I've cut it straight in half. So basically the rule of thumb for a pop-up box card is that it has to be divisible by 4. So a piece of standard A4 is 29.7 long, I think. So we need to have a piece for our flap to be able to join the whole thing together. So what I'm going to do, working on the basis that it's 29 point something, I've divided 28 by 4, which gives us 7 centimetres. So I'm going to go all the way along this piece of card, along the long edge, and I'm going to score using my trimmer at 7, 14, 21 and 28, and that will give us our 4 sides at 7 centimetres. Now you can see it leaves us with, what does it leave it with? 2.5 centimetres on the end, and that's fine. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is for the box card, we need it to be able to open, so we need to score down the middle. Now I will show you this one that I've done previously. So this is what it looks like when it's folded up, and on this one I've scored it exactly half. So when the box is opened and stood up, the flaps will fold down exactly half. But I'm not going to do that on this one. I want them to be a little bit less. Or am I? No, I am going to do it in half. So just to show you, when it's folded together, it will fit in a standard C6 envelope. Right, so I think what we'll do, so as I said, this is 10.5, so half of 10.5 is 5.25. Now, yeah, no, okay. So I think what we'll do this time, as I said, that other one was in half. Sorry, I'm doing this a bit on the fly because I changed my mind as I started recording. So I think what we'll do this time is we will go, instead of going 5.25, I think we'll go 4.25, and that will then give us a centimetre more on one side. So I'm using my trimmer and just scoring along the length of the card. Okay, so I can put my trimmer out of the way now. For the time being, we will need to cut some cardstock. I've just realised as well, I'm prepping for all my classes, and I've just realised I've taken my snips downstairs. Okay, no problem. So what we then have to do, I'm using my non-stick scissors, but we need to cut down to the score line. Now I want shorter flaps, so I'm cutting with the smaller side. If you want your flaps to be exactly half, then obviously it doesn't really matter which side you cut from. So you can do this on your trimmer. I just find it easier with a pair of scissors when I'm filming, rather than trying to wave a trimmer around under the camera. Okay, and then what we need to do is we need to take out this top section here. So I've removed the top section of our tab. This is going to be our tab that's going to help us fold it. So I'm also going to take out the corners of that tab just to make it a little bit neater, so we don't see the edges of it showing on the box. So I'm just cutting diagonally across the corners, and they can go. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to score all our folds. So I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to start with that flap, and then go along each 7 centimetre section. Obviously we only need to score the bottom because we've cut down the top. And then the next thing I'm going to do is turn it over and score all of these, or burnish I should say, not score, I've already scored it. Burnish all of these sections here. Okay, and this makes the bones of our box, as you can see. So now what we need to do is we need to join it together. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to fold in one section. I'm bringing in my trusty Tombow. You can use tape runner for this or whatever glue you prefer, but Tombow gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So it has to lay flat to be able to go into the card. So I've found this is the easiest way to join it. So I've folded in that first left section. I've put my glue on there. Be careful not to go to the edges. And then I'm going to fold in that right section. And because we've scored it and burnished our folds, that should line up. And there's our box. Now these are the sections that are going to come down when we open the card. So what I'm going to do is these ones, we are going to put some DSP on. So what we need to do is measure these. We know they're going to be 7 centimetres wide, and we just need to know how deep it is. So it's our 4.25. So what we need to do now is cut some papers to go on there. Now I'm going to cut mine 0.5 centimetre smaller all the way round. So let me just move that out of the way and bring my trimmer in. Obviously, if you're using a directional paper, make sure you get it the right way up. And I am going to use, what am I going to use? These are the Celebration papers. They're absolutely beautiful. I think what I'm going to do actually is use this smaller print. Now obviously our 12 by 12 papers are double-sided, so the pink is on the back, so we could alternate them if we want. So we know that we need our pieces of DSP for our flaps to be 7 centimetres wide, and well, the flap is 7 centimetres wide and 4.25 down. So I'm going to cut this paper at 6.5. So obviously this is a directional print. We want our flowers the right way up. So I'm going to cut the width of the piece first. So I'm cutting that at 6.5 centimetres. And then I'm going to go down and cut my pieces. So our square is or rectangle I should say, is 4.25. So we need to go down to 3.75 to get a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to cut my 4 pieces. So you need 4 pieces for this, and I'm just cutting using my trimmer. 1, 2, 3, and that's our 4th one. Okay, so there are sections to glue onto the smaller flaps. If I bring that back in, these are going to layer up on these smaller flaps along here, but I really think we need something on here as well. So the back side of this is this beautiful pink. Now unfortunately this is Blushing Bride, and I didn't have any Blushing Bride cardstock. I didn't realize I'd run out, so the back of that isn't really going to go, but I think it'll almost be too much because we won't be able to pattern match to do it that side. So what I'm going to do is bring in some papers that I've got left from another card and hope that they will fit. So what did we want? 6.5 wide, didn't we? So let's just trim that down, and then 3.7, no, actually 6.5 wide still, but this is bigger, isn't it? So let's just measure that, because we didn't go exactly half, did we? Right, so this is 6.25, so we are going to need to cut down at 5.75. Good job I checked that. Get my box card out of the way. So 1, 2. Yeah, that was always going to happen, wasn't it? Oh dear, what have I done with my other piece? 1, 2, 3. Oh, we're doing well here today. I've lost a piece of paper already. There it is. There we go. So we've got 2 pieces for that. I need to find another piece of that paper. Just bear with me while I just have a rifle through my papers. I think these papers have been really popular. There we go, that's the other piece that I was using. So again, we need to make sure that the print is the right way up. So we need to cut our 6.5 section lengthways. Okay. And then cut our 5.75 sections. And I normally have this all prepared before I start a video so that you don't have to watch me cutting cardstock, but I changed my mind, as I said, as I started filming. Right, so we are done with the trimmer. If you haven't got enough matching cardstock, you could always emboss some cardstock, some coloured cardstock to match, just to give it a bit of detail. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to go around our box and adhere these sections. So if you lay your box flat, and then it makes it easier. I'm always in awe of demonstrators that I see that are gluing things in mid-air. I can never get that right. I always end up making a huge mess. I have to have it laid down flat. Again, don't go too close to the edge with your glue because it will squidge. Oh, okay. So that's 2 sections. Flip it over and we'll do the other 2. Oh, I seem to have cut an extra one. Okay, I'll save that extra one for something else later. Okay, so we're now going to do these 2 sides. Oh, sorry, I've just realised I'm out of the camera shot. Sorry about that, ladies and gents. And obviously make sure you get your paper the right way up. That is the other thing about Tombow. It is a little bit forgiving, so if you did accidentally stick it on the wrong way round, you could pull it off carefully, providing you haven't pressed it down too hard. Right, now what we need to do is do these flaps. So we've got our thinner pieces of paper. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, Tombow, and you need to stick these on the inside of the box. Okay, so this is the part that's going to show when the box is open, so you don't want to stick it above your other piece of patterned paper, otherwise it'll be on the wrong side when the box is opened. Again, make sure it's up the right way. My plan for this card was to actually emboss some cardstock with the fern embossing folder to go there, but as I said earlier, I'm prepping for classes and I've already taken my cut and emboss downstairs and my craft room is upstairs. So I've got my mini one up here, but the folder that I wanted to use unfortunately won't fit in the mini cut and emboss. A lot of our folders are in dry embossing folders. A lot of them come in the smaller size, especially if there's 2 to a pack. But the one that I'd planned to use for the bottom half of my card isn't, so it won't fit through the mini. But no worries. I'll show you the finished card with the embossed paper on. You can make up your minds which one you like best. Right, so I've stuck on the 2 sheets of DSP, 2 sections of DSP there. Now don't forget, we need to turn the card over because they're going to be this way. If you just work your way round, you'll end up with one side upside down. So this is our final side. These papers are absolutely gorgeous. I've actually just put in another order and chosen another pack because although they will retire at the end of February when Celebration finishes, obviously I'll still have the stamp set. So this is our box with its DSP on now. So we've got our 4 top sections covered and we've got our 4 bottom sections covered. Okay, just move that extra piece of DSP out of the way. As I said, I will make up the other card with some embossed sections, and then you'll be able to see what that looks like too. Right, now the next thing we need to do is we need to put a bar across the middle here. I'm just going to grab my trimmer back again. Oh, so sorry about that. Let me just move the card out of the way and grab my petal pink paper. So what we need to do is we need to cut, I find about 1 centimetre wide is enough, but we need to cut a strip which we're going to fit inside the box, and that's going to hold our decoration so that when it's opened, you can see the decorations inside. So what we need to do, we need a piece that is going to fit alongside the inside of the box with a little bit each end to enable us to stick it on. Now, you could just measure this at 8 centimetres with a 1/2 centimetre each end to stick on, but I've found because the cardstock is expanded when you score it, the threads of the cardstock expand, it isn't necessarily always the right side. So I've found the easiest way to do it is to fold over one end. So I've just folded that over, and that will stick to one side of my box, which is, say, there. And then literally just go over with your thumb to the other side and fold again. Now, you can't have it too small, otherwise it won't span the box. But you can see that by me doing that, or at least I hope you can see, that that will then hold. Actually, see, it's not quite wide enough. So we'll go back and do that again. Always fold it level along the length of the card, and then you'll know you've folded straight. So there we are. So that's about right there. So all I'm going to do is snip off the bit we don't need. Okay, so we've got our fold there. And all I'm going to do is just decrease this down, this bit here. It's not, it doesn't matter if the measurements aren't, you know, exactly the same each end. You're not going to see it. Okay. Well, you might if you examine it, but most people don't, let's face it. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just putting some glue onto the ends, and you do have to do both sides at the same time. Okay, and then if you keep your ends folded down, you want the tabs at the back ideally, so slide it in, and then if you just hold it level, and then flatten the card, make sure that this is level inside, and then flatten the card to give it a press, because obviously the card has to be flat to go in the envelope. Okay, because it's going to go in the envelope like that. And then when you open it up again, you should have your bar across the middle. Okay, you might have a slight bow in it. Fold it both ways, doesn't really matter. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone ahead and I have stamped some sections. So what I've done is I've stamped this, this and this. This one is lovely, and you could use it. It's quite tall. You need to make sure that when your card is folded flat to go in its envelope, that nothing sticks out of this edge or that edge, because obviously it won't fit in the envelope. Okay, so what I've done is I've stamped these 3 images. I've coloured them in using my blends. Let me just move that out of the way. It's like it's scrap paper. I've coloured them in using the blends, and what we're going to do now is we're going to stick them to that bar. So what I thought was, the tallest one is this one on the right, so that one will go in the middle. So get your arrangement sort of how you want it before you start sticking it on. And then again, I'm going to use Tombow. We don't really want dimensionals in here because it will add too much bulk. You can see I use my bits of scrap. And then stick it to the front of your bar. Now, if you have a bit of glue squidge out, which I just did there, obviously don't fold the box up until you've finished. And then we're going to put that one there. And then we're going to go for this one on this side. And then obviously when the recipient stands the box up, they'll have those flowers popping out of the top. Now what I've done is I've pulled out my sprig punch because we need to fill the gaps in. You can see, I mean, that is pretty, but we've got some gaps that we need to fill in. So probably should have moved that over there a little bit more. Oops, because it's hiding itself behind there. So I've just got some old olive, which is the green that's in the papers, and I'm just going to punch out some sprigs. These go quite nicely with these flowers because they've got the little sort of, oh sorry, too close, little bells on there. So I've got 2 of each to start with, and then if we need any more, we'll see where we go from there. Again, a little bit of Tombow, and I'm going to tuck that one behind there. And I know you can't see it perfectly, but it just helps to fill in the gaps. Okay, and we're going to go with another one in there. You can stick them to the back of the bar if you want to. For now, I just wanted to fill in those little gaps. Oh, I've got sticky fingers now. And then what we're going to do is come in with some of these ones, which are like almost like the little flowers, and pop those over there. Like that. And I think we do need some more. It's always better to have your card fuller than empty. And let's go over this side. Okay, so we've got a few more leaves. To pop in. Don't forget you can cut your leaves down if you want to. I think this one actually needs to go at the back. So I have to put glue on the front. When you punch, you do get a an edge. So there is a right and a wrong way. Just add those in the back, and then we've got 2 more of these, which I'm going to add in to the front. Hands are filthy. Now I can hear you saying, but you can see all those stems. How are you going to cover all those stems up? And the way we're going to do that, excuse me, just haven't got anything to wipe my hands on, just wiping down my trousers. That's why I always wear jeans when I'm crafting. Right, so we've got our flowers popping out of our box, but we have got all those stems. So the way we're going to cover that up, I think, is with, what have I got? Have we got some ribbon we can cover that up with? I'm just trying to have a look at what we've got. What we could do is cut another piece of petal pink. Actually, I think we'll do that. So this time we do only want it the width of the box. So I'm going to cut another. Now we cut that at 1 centimetre, didn't we? So if we cut this at 1.5 centimetres and then cut it down to 7. Should cover that quite nicely for us. And what you could always do is stamp a greeting. I mean, I can see this because I'm above it, which is why I want it to be neat. But if it stood on a mantelpiece, that's, you know, you're not necessarily going to see inside the card. But I don't like looking at all those ends. So we're just going to, this is slightly bigger so it covers them all up. There. And hopefully you can see that in there. That just covers all those stems so that it just makes it look a little bit neater. And there we are. So there's our finished card. So, as I said, it folds flat. Now I've done exactly what I told you not to do, and I've got a bit sticking out at the top, but I'm hoping that a C6 envelope will give us a little bit of wiggle room. So let's just have a look, shall we? Usually a C6 envelope is very slightly bigger to allow for edges, so I'm not holding this shut too tightly. Let's just see if it'll go in. Yes, just. So we might have a little bit of an issue going on there, but as I said, just make sure that you put it down low enough. Now that was my mistake, because I can see if you tip it sideways, you can see that that was going to stick out at the top, and so I should have tucked that down a little bit further, but I think we can probably get around that. Anyway, so there's our finished card. I hope you like it. Obviously you can put a greeting on here, you could put a greeting on here. You could, if you wanted to, put a white panel on the back to write on. But you could just write underneath one of the flaps at the back. So that's our finished card. I hope you like it, and I hope you'll have a go at it. And if you do, post me a picture in the comments on my YouTube, and I'd love to have a look and see what you come up with. Okay, that's it from me now. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Happy stamping. Bye for now.